Shalom, shalom everyone. Shalom. Give it a couple more minutes. Get started. Shorter service today because I got news. Pretty decent news. One more minute. Definitely thank the Almighty for today. I gotta find a new place to build my tabernacle. They cut like all the trees down. So this spot right here had it nice. I could just easily build my booth. Now it's going to be problematic. See what's up. Find another spot. Praise the Almighty. Cool. That's about time. Shalom. All right, it's time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. True to everyone that's on. True Hebrews United, the Almighty, Yeshua. Yeshua love, holiness, instructor, discipleship, drill sergeant. About to get into the book as usual. Definitely give all honor to Yah through his son, Yeshua HaMashiach, the only begotten of the Father. Definitely give double honor to the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the teachers, the elders, the bishops, the deacons across the whole planet. Teaching and persuading people to repent from their sin and come to this gospel before it's everlasting too late. All the brothers and sisters across the whole planet keeping the Almighty's commandments, statutes, judgments, precepts, and ways. Shalom. Definitely you guys in the trenches and being the light of the world, bringing people to repentance. I appreciate you guys inspiring me to do better, and hopefully I inspire you guys. All the people on the Facebook and the YouTube that like, share, comment, subscribe, I appreciate you guys. Go to the YouTube if you don't have it. We're trying to get that YouTube channel going pretty soon. I want to get on some Patreon, some BitChute, MySpace, every platform there is that I could get this gospel pushing. Once finances get better, I'm going to push hard to save some souls, bring people to salvation where it's everlasting too late. Before they close that door and they force you to get some liquid in your shoulders for you just to leave the country. So praise the Almighty. I appreciate you guys. I didn't get a chance to tell you what happened with my computer. As you guys know, season 2. So I told him I don't want you to fix my computer. Just put all the broken pieces back in there and do it as you want to do, because he's going to charge me $160, and then he dropped it to $130. So he's like, "Oh, you sure? This and this, and then the next person's going to charge you much." I was like, "Yeah, but you fixed it, and you didn't give me a quote, and I don't want to be strong-armed to pay that price. So just put everything broken." What it is the hard drive just needed to reboot a loading system, because I dealt with the problem 2 times in Belize. So instead of having the newest Windows, he put like a later version of Windows, and just rebooted the system because it needed a booting system on the hard drive. But all the memory, everything was perfectly fine. Somehow I get the computer back. I was like, just tell me what I need. It just says need data. I get the computer back. I take it to the person I was going to have it taken. He's like, "Bro, you're missing your hard drive, the broken hard drive." The reason why he took the hard drive out is because he probably fixed it. Instead of taking the booting system out and giving it back to me, he'll just take the hard drive out and just say it needs data. No, it needs a hard drive. And so I was like, "All right, man, it's a broken computer. How much to get the hard drive and do the labor?" He was like, "The hard drive is only $27, and I'll just charge you $30 for the labor." So I'll put a new hard drive in and then reload a booting system like a Windows in there and do it for $60. So this guy already had a hard drive, just had to reload the booting system, was going to charge me $160. Oh, data recovery and all this stuff. And see, this is why last service, we are of God and the whole world lieth in wickedness, is because I would rather take the L than let this man have the money, because he fixed it and just tried to give me a $160 price. And I was like, "Nah, man, that's bad business." Then he, and what's weird is they'll be super nice. "Oh, man, our job is to cater to the customers, and without you," and he tried to push. He was real respectful, real nice, and he almost got me to change my decision. How respectful he was on the phone. He was like, "Man, my job is to take care of you. You're the customer, and the customer comes first. I'm barely making all the parts and everything. I barely need the money, make the money. I'm just doing it at a cost, at a loss now. I only charge $30, just $130 that pays for everything, data recovery, new this. So I was like, "Nah." I called back. I was like, "Nah, just take it out." He's like, "Give me 2 days, and I'll go ahead and fix it." Once I told him I didn't want him, just give me my broken computer as is back. So he takes the hard drive out and give me the computer. So when I take it to the other guy the same day, he's like, "Bro, you're missing the hard drive. It's not even in here." So it shows you, see, the sinner tried to get over on me. And because I stand up for myself, he messes me over even more. This is why we are of God and the whole world lieth in wickedness. I'm so tired of this. I can't wait till the Almighty comes and destroys these sinners, because of stuff like that. I took my computer there, You fixed it without giving me a quote, because I wouldn't want to pay for that much for that price. So you just hurried up and fixed it and didn't give me the quote when I told you to not fix it until you give me a quote. Because I don't want to choose it, because I don't want to get ripped off by you, you just take my hard drive out of the computer. So you still give me you gave me the first middle finger, and then you give me the second one. This is why I said, hey, I'd rather take the L. Now imagine if I was like, oh, okay, let me just pay him the $130, and then he still got over on me. Man, forget that. Forget that. It's cool. I'll just take the L, and I'll move on. But you didn't get my $130, and now you had to take my hard drive out, which is broken anyways. So you got nothing out of your labor anyways. So it's whatever. And for $60, I'm going to get a new hard drive with the labor. And yeah, I lost my pictures and I lost my music, but I have my music on a USB drive. Mainly my music. I have my music on an external hard drive, and I lost my old pictures, but I could create new pictures. That's the only two things. All my pictures I put on my computer and take off my phone, put on my computer, and all my music. Because I'm trying to store like a library of like 1,000, 2,000 songs. Because when persecution really pops off, there will be no internet. There will be off the grid, and we got music. So I'll always add into my library of songs. You guys know the chill hop and all that stuff like that. So that's the long story, man. Hey, I know I'm super strict when it comes to that, but I just look at either you're a sinner or you're serving the Most High. You know, there is no gray. There's people that's trying to repent from sin, and that's maybe the gray area. But dealing with these people, man, I don't even trust them. I don't put nothing past them. I don't. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't even make me that upset that he did that, because they're a sinner. I expect you to sin. I expect you to lie. I expect you to steal. I don't expect anything good from sinners. I don't. If you run across a sinner that's not a liar, or that's not an adulterer, that's not a thief, okay, he has some moral values. There are some sinners that have some moral values, but they still breaking the Sabbath and eating pork and all that stuff. But there are some sinners out there. But in the very beginning, I don't give them the doubt of the benefit. I mean, the benefit of the doubt. No, I just treat them as, you a sinner, and we'll see what you about. We'll see if you're better than the next one, you know. So hopefully that's a lesson to you guys. Hey, if we have to take an L to not add dollars to that person's pocket, then so be it. I will be going back and say, hey, I want my broken hard drive back. I want my broken hard drive back. Give me that. Yeah, give me that back. He'll probably just erase all the stuff out of that just to do in spite. So you're going to do this in spite just because you can't rip me off. Yeah. Yep. But it's whatever. See, if I was in the world, I'll just come at night with a big brick and I'll just bust this whole window open. But that was be the old Simon. But render not evil for evil. That's fine. It's like, all right, I'll get my money back. Don't trip. I could get my money back. You're going to pay more than me. But render not evil for evil. Be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man works not in the righteousness of the Most High. But let's keep going. So, with all that said being done, let's let the fingers do the walking and the scriptures do the talking. Praise the Almighty. Let's get it. He's at a little storefront in the cut too. I could bust his whole stuff open, and then he'll be paying hundreds of dollars for a simple hard drive that's $27. But that's all right. Praise the Almighty. Render not evil for evil. That's cool. I'll just go ahead and keep it pushing. 2 Samuel chapter 2 is going to be a short service, and I'm going to be a little philosophical today, a little abstract, and it's going to be some words of encouragement today. Eventually, I do want to deal with sin. We got the feast days coming up, so be ready. Shalom. You put a huge picture on that. Whoever put that picture on that. But bear with me. We're going to deal with this. This squirrel always keeps coming. Every time I teach, let me see if I can show you what's up. He be chilling there too. Can you guys see him? He be coming here, like right by me, every time. Like every time I'm out here teaching, and I don't feed him, so he just come here to hear the word. So it's whatever. Shalom. Let's get it. Give me 2 Samuel chapter 16. Starting at verse 1. 2 Samuel chapter 16, starting at verse 1. Let's get it. And when David was a little past the top of the hill. Now, this is when David was running. All right, let me see some comments. I just see a picture. I don't see no comments for you guys for some reason. Let's keep going. This is when his son tried to take the kingdom, so he had to flee from his own kingdom. So let's get with this. When David was a little bit past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him. A couple of donkeys saddled upon 200 loaves of bread and bunches of raisins, and 100 summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. And he said unto to Ziba, what meaneth these things? And Ziba said, these donkeys are for the king's household to ride upon, and the bread and the summer fruit are for the young man to eat, and wine for such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. And the king said, where is thy master's son? And Ziba said unto the king, behold, he abideth at Jerusalem. For he said, today shall the house of Israel restore the kingdom unto my father. And Ziba said, and then said the king unto Ziba, behold, thy art all that pertaineth to Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beseech you that I might find grace in thy sight, my lord, O king. And when the king came to Baraim, behold, thence there came a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came, and he cast stones at David and all his servants of the servants of the king, and all the people and the mighty man that were on the right hand of, and on his left, and said unto Shimei when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial. When the Almighty had returned upon them all the blood on the house of Saul, whose stead thou hast reigned, and the Almighty have delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son, and behold, thou art taken in mischief, because thou art a bloody man. Then said Abishai the son of Zeruiah unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over and pray thee, and bust out his windows for messing up his hard drive. No, let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. And the king says, what have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Almighty have said unto him, curse David. Who shall then say, wherefore hast thou done so? And David said unto Abishai and all the servants, behold, my son, when came forth out of my bowels, seek my life. How much more now has this Benjamite do it? Let him alone, and let him curse, for the Almighty hath bidden him to curse. It may be that the Almighty will look upon my affliction, and that the Almighty will requite me good for his curse in this day. And so that was my main point. We may be in a certain point. David was in a low state in his life. He literally lost the kingdom from his son. And as he's leaving in defeat, there's someone casting stones and cursing. And he's like, hey, the Almighty might see my affliction and leave a blessing behind. Almighty might see my affliction and leave a blessing behind in his lowest state. And so I'm going to show you another example. I'm going to show you Ezekiel real quick. Let's go to Genesis. I'm going to show you, deal with Joseph. Give me Genesis 37. Genesis 37. I'm going to show you these two parallels. Genesis 37, verse 3. And we're going to keep jumping through chapters, so I'm not going to show you the whole story, but I'll explain it to you. Genesis 37, verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brother, they hated him and could not speak peaceably. Now, he was wrong for doing that. He should not show favoritism. I'm not going to say it's hard to not show favoritism, because you shouldn't. You should love all your children the same. But let's say you have two sons. This son is always getting in trouble in school. This son doesn't. This son's always getting in trouble at home. This son doesn't. This son doesn't like fishing. You like fishing. And this son likes fishing with you. This son doesn't like the gym. You like the gym. This son likes the gym with you. It's not that you love them differently. It's just you just may have more in common. And then how much things would you have in common with the son that's always disobedient? Because he's always in trouble. He's always acting up. He's always talking back. He's always not doing his chores. So it's kind of hard. And I'm not saying that's the case, but we still need to balance out the love and deal not in partiality, regardless of how much you have in common with one son or the other. Because you're going to have one that you have more in common with. It's not that he's your favorite, but you just, if one likes to go hiking, I like to go hiking. My son likes to go hiking. But if I had a son and he just likes staying in the house and eating pottage and whatnot, then yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, me and him don't really have too much of a bond besides playing video games or something. Not that I have a favorite. But let's keep going. So, the Almighty, he showed favoritism towards Joseph. Now let's keep going. Give me a verse 18, same chapter. Verse 18, same chapter. So, what happened, they envied him. So he said, hey, go check on your brothers. Joseph was with Israel. He said, hey, go check on your brothers while they're being taking care of the sheep and whatnot. So he's going his way to check on his brother. Let's keep going. And when they saw him afar off, even before they came near, they conspired against him to kill him. And they said to one another, behold, the dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit, and we will say some evil beasts have devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of his hands, and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto him, shed no blood, and cast him into the pit of the wilderness, lay no hand upon him, that he might get rid of their hands and deliver him to his father. And it came to pass as Joseph was coming to his brother, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat, and his coat of many colors, which was on him, and they took him and cast him into the pit, empty, and there was no water. And they sat down to eat, and they lifted up his eyes, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came, and Gilead with their camels and spiceries and balms and myrrhs, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brother, what profited that we should slay our brother to conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let no hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brother were content. So they sold him off, right? Now, this man, Joseph believed in the Most High. And for no reason of his own, I think that Israel was part of that jealousy, because you can't just favor one, and then you're going to bring animosity between the two, just like it says, hey, you can't marry two sisters because you're going to cause envy and jealousy between the two. So you shouldn't marry two sisters if you're going to take a second wife. And same thing, you can't do things to promote jealousy or to promote envy or to promote a division. The Bible says 6 things those the Lord hate, and 7 is abomination. And the last one was those that sow discord among the brethren. So you're sowing discord among the brethren by treating this guy better than the other children. Then they're naturally going to not like the child, even though it's the father's fault. So let's keep going. Go ahead and give me verse 36. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt, into Potiphar's an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard. So now he became a slave. This man has done nothing wrong, and he became a slave. So chapter 39, 1 through 3. Chapter 39, 1 through 3. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, the officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, the Egyptian, brought him into the hands of the Ishmaelites, and they brought him down there. The Almighty was with Joseph, and he prospered the man, and he was in the house of the master, the Egyptian, of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Almighty was with him, and that the Almighty made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and served him, and he made him overseer of his house, and all that he put in his hand. So the Almighty gave him grace through this situation. Even though he was sold as a slave, the Almighty gave him grace. Let's keep going. Verse 11. And it came to pass about the time, but Potiphar, his wife, was an adulteress and wanted to sleep with Joseph. And so Joseph kept saying, no, 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 no. So she made a final attempt right here. And it came to pass about the time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was no man in the house there within, that she caught him by the garment and said, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in his hand, he fled, and she called the men in the house and spake unto them, saying, see, they brought in this Hebrew to mock us, and he came unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard it, he lifted up his voice, and he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she said, laid up his garment until the Lord came. And she spake according to these words, saying, this Hebrew servant which thou brought into it came in to mock me. And it came to pass that as I lifted up my voice, that he left his garment with me and fled. And it came to pass that when his master heard these words of his wife, that she spake unto him, saying, after this matter did thy servant unto me, his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, in the place where the prisoners were bound, and he was there in prison. So now he got put in prison once again for something that he did not do. He did nothing wrong in his walk with the Most High, and he got put in prison. He did nothing wrong, and his brothers hated him, which is, we could put that on Israel. And he got sold as a slave, and then he got sold onto a slave master, and then now he got put in prison. All for nothing. One of it is for him standing for righteousness. One of it is for him standing for righteousness. And this is a side note. You will stand for righteousness and take an L. A brother stood for righteousness and lost a job opportunity to make double of what he's making now. But they wanted they wanted him to work on the Sabbath. You will take L's for standing for righteousness. This happens. It says, if you reign with me, you need to suffer with me. We trying to reign with Amashiach right now. Put a heart out there if you're trying to reign with Amashiach. If you want to reign with him. Put a heart out, put a thumbs up, if you're trying to reign with him, right? Okay, right? When he was on this planet, did he reign or did he suffer? When he was down here, did he reign or did he suffer? Did they try to tempt him and catch him in his words? Did they try to destroy him? And finally, did they mock him and put at the very end, when they were trying to destroy him the whole time, and set up people to catch him in his talk and whatnot, and to say he's of the devil? When it came time, didn't they put the crown of thorns? Didn't they beat him? Didn't they put him on a tree, hang him on the tree? So his whole time down here, was he reigning or was he suffering? So in like manner, it says if we reign with him, we need to suffer with him as well. Let's keep going. So give me chapter 41, verse 1. Chapter 41, verse 1. Oh, chapter 40, sorry, verse 5. Chapter 40, verse 5. So he got put in prison. There was a butler and there was a baker, and they had a dream, and he seen them sad, and so he says, interpretations belongs to Almighty. So he interprets this dream. Let's get with it. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, and each man in his dream. And one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker and the king of Egypt were bound in prison. And Joseph came unto them in the morning and looked unto them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officer that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, wherefore look so sadly today? And they said unto him, we have dreamed a dream, and there's no interpretation of it. And Joseph said, do not interpretation belonging to the Most High? Tell me, and I pray you. And so they told him a dream, and he interprets the dream. So he told him, hey, when this comes to pass, remember me. So he interprets the dream, and then one gets beheaded, and the other one goes back to serve the king. And yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. So he interpretation of the dream. Now check this verse, chapter 41. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed a dream, and behold, he stood in by a river. So now Pharaoh gets a dream. Now in the meantime, Joseph was in prison for 2 more years. I'm assuming maybe a year or 2 before he had that dream and the butler went. Now imagine you serving the Almighty, and you are in prison for not committing adultery and sleeping with another man's wife. You are in prison because you chose not to sleep with another man's wife, and you chose to do the right thing. And this is what I'm saying. There is a dark point in Joseph's life, or in your life today, or in my life. You will all go through dark points in your life, like super dark, like whether financial struggle, marital struggle, self-esteem, depression. You will be in darkness. Because imagine him in prison for just standing for righteousness. Maybe he had thoughts like, man, is God even real? Why would God do this to me? I've done nothing to be here. He didn't even have scriptures to read to encourage himself. He just had his faith alone and believed what Joseph taught him, what Israel taught him, and believed what his grandpa taught him. That's all he had. He didn't have the scripture. He didn't have Genesis, Ezekiel. He didn't have none of that. He just had his faith in the Most High, and he is in this dark place. And at that point, he didn't even know he was going to excel. He thought he was going to spend the rest of his life in here for not sinning against the Most High and not committing adultery, sleeping with another man's wife. Those thoughts like, man, I was better off just sleeping with her if I'm going to spend the rest of my life in prison. I'm not saying those thoughts came to him, but it probably could. He was in a dark point. But let's keep going. Give me chapter, so we got 41, verse 1. Now give me verse 32. So the butler comes back and is like, you know what, you got this dream, Pharaoh. There's a man in prison. I kind of forgot. I dropped the ball on him, but he's in prison. He interpreted the dream, and it comes to pass. You need to get with him, and he'll put you up on game, right? So verse 41, 32. So interprets the dream, and this is what happens. And for that dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by the Almighty, and the Almighty will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. And let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up a fifth part of the land of Egypt in the 7 years of plenteous, and let him gather all the food of those good years, and come and lay up the corn up under the hand of Pharaoh, and let him keep the food in the city. And the food shall be for the store in the lands against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, and the land perish not through famine. And this thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all the servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servant, can we find such a man that is this, a man of whom the Spirit of the Almighty is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as the Almighty has shewed thee all this, there is no other so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, according to the word shall all my house be ruled. Only in the throne I will be greater. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee above over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring in his right hand, and put it on Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vessels and fine linen, and put gold upon thy neck, and made him ride on the chariot which he had, and cried before him, bow the knee, and he made him rule over all the land of Egypt. Now, there is no, at that time when he was in his dark place in prison, that he knew he'll be second in command of all of Egypt. All of Egypt. And so that's what I'm saying is, in life, as the roller coaster comes, you will find yourself in a dark 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, like Joseph was. You might find yourself in those dark times. But if we keep going, hey, the blessing is on the other side. Sometimes we just think that financial struggle just only happens for 1 month or 2 months. Winter usually lasts for 4 months. You can't grow things for months, not just 1 or 2 months. It takes a while. Sometimes some people's winter are so bad that it takes a while for the dirt to thaw out. Like the ground is frozen. Like you try to dig and it's like digging through ice dirt. Like it takes a while. You will go through those dark times in life where you just do not want to be on this planet. Just like Joseph. I like Joseph because it shows you an example. When I go through certain situations and I'm not at the peak or as zealous or thrilled about a life or like my situation, and I'm in a dark spot, that I always reflect to Joseph's situation. Because we will suffer down here. Some of it's for standing for righteousness. Some of it's because it's self-inflicted, whether you procrastinate or you lost your job because you kept being late or whatever. Some of it's self-inflicted. And then some of it is we just got to go through it. We're just going through the trials of life. But he didn't revert back to sin. The easiest situation when you're going through that situation is to revert back to sin. There was times in my walk where it's like, you really want it, man, I just want to just go get a 40 ounce and forget all this stuff for a good hour or two. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it was a while ago. I was younger in my walk with the Most High. But it shows you that sometimes you're in that dark situation and you're really, you need to go through this storm. And the easiest thing is to revert back to sin. Let me just revert back to watching this or listen to this music or picking up some alcohol or picking up some weed. I just want to escape my situation for a little bit. And that's not the way to do it. It says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. If we're going to reign with him, then we have to suffer with him. Because he did not reign down here. He said, my kingdom is not of this world. He told them that. And then when they were brought to Pontius Pilate, it says, hey, my kingdom is not of this world, lest my man would have fought for you. Think not I can't send a legion of angels to come and destroy you guys? It says, this ain't my kingdom. He's setting up new heaven, new earth, and new Jerusalem. He called it, right now is the God of the air. It's the wicked one to set up his reign, and he's going to set up his new world order, just like the Almighty is going to set up new heaven, new earth, new Jerusalem. He's a copycat. He's going to set up his new world order, and he's going to have his time to reign. He's going to have his time to reign, and he's going to have his dominion over the saints in the Most High, and he's going to kill a lot of us. He's going to have his time to reign, but his kingdom will fall. And the Almighty has the eternal kingdom. And that's when the sinners now we have the time to reign over the sinners, because he's going to cast these people in a lake of fire. And then when he sets up this kingdom, and it says he's going to rule with a rod of iron, and these same Gentiles, I mean, they'll be saved and whatnot, they're going to pay tribute to Israel. Because during this time, Israel made all the world rich. Panama Canal, the United States, Jamaica, Haiti, they grew food for Britain and Europe and all that. We made the world rich. So now we're going to get a chance when he sets his kingdom, he's going to make Israel rich. So, but my main thing is, how long was Israel in the wilderness before they got the promise? And it wasn't like they were in a land, that's a good land already, and then they went into the promised land. It says they were in the wilderness. They were in a part that did not have no food. They were in a part that did not have no water. And they just traveled. And yeah, 40 years really been 3 years. If you read it, they would have came, when he told them to go into the land, they were in there roughly around 3 years. And he said, go spy out the land, and then they would have went. And then they messed up, and so they were in there another 37 years, and it totaled 40 years. So they're in there 40 years to get to the promise. So even so, let's say if it was 3 years. Let's say they didn't get scared of the giants in the very beginning. Let's say 3 years. 3 years in the wilderness, in a dark time in your life, to get to the promise. And the difference between Joseph and the people of Israel is Israel was how I had the mentality. When I first came to Almighty, I went through a situation, struggling and whatnot. Like, man, let me just pick back up a beer. Man, let me just go. I want to revert to sin. And that's what Israel did. Let's make a golden calf. Let's go out on the Sabbath. Let's pick up some sticks on the Sabbath. Let's do this. Let's take wives. They took wives from the Gentile. When they were in their wilderness, instead of them going through their dark time in life and waiting for the promise, like Joseph did, Joseph had no See, Israel knew they were going to come into the promised land. Joseph didn't know he was going to get out of prison. That's the difference. And Joseph kept his integrity, and Israel went to sin. When they didn't have no food, they murmured and complained. Can the Almighty feed us? We should have went back to Egypt. We had melons to the full. He told us not to go on the Sabbath to get manna, but I'm going to go on the Sabbath and to get manna anyways. Let's make a golden calf. Moses, where is our water? And they complained and went back to sin. And they knew they had the promise. Joseph didn't know that. And he kept his integrity. He was in his dark. There's no way you're going to say that he was in prison, not knowing he's going to get out, and then didn't question his faith in the Most High while he's in prison. I guarantee he wasn't eating steak and potatoes. Guarantee that. Guarantee the toilets back then ain't like the toilets now. Guarantee the clothes and the shoes back then ain't like the clothes and the shoes we got now. Let's keep going. Give me Ezekiel 24. Ezekiel 24. Oh, let me do the shout outs. Shout outs. Let's see some shout out. What? She didn't send the shout outs. Shout outs to everyone who watched last service. All right, there you go. Shout outs done. She did it. Ezekiel 24. And we're going to go with verse 16. Let's get it. The Son of Man, behold, I take away from thee thy desire of thy eyes with the stroke. Yet neither shall thou mourn nor weep, nor neither shall thy tears run down. Forbear to cry and make no mourning for the dead. Bind thy tire upon thy head upon thee, and put on thy shoes upon thy feet, and cover not thy lips, and eat not the bread of man. So I spake unto the people in the morning, and at evening my wife died, and I did in the morning as I was commanded. And the people said, what, wilt thou not tell us these things that are done to us, that thou doest so? Then I answered them and said, the word of the Almighty came unto me, speak unto the house of Israel. Thus said the Almighty, behold, I will profane my sanctuary in the excellency of your strength and the desire of your eyes, and that your soul pitieth in your son and daughters, which ye are less shall fall by the sword. And you're not going to neither pity or mourn them. And so he says, he's telling them, just like Ezekiel did, this is what's going to happen to you. But my main point is, he was a servant of Almighty, and his wife had to die for no reason of his own or her own, but just to be an example to Israel. His wife had to die. He had to go through that for serving the Most High. Now look at what he got out of that. And I'm not going to say it's a comparison, because you can't, it's the desire, you can't replace your wife. But look at how the Almighty showed him things that he didn't show any other person. Go ahead and give me Ezekiel 40. We're going to go quick, because I do have to do the news today. Ezekiel 40. I need to start, the sun is starting to change, so I'm about to move the post over there, because the sun just beams on this. I don't even know if you could see me. It just beams on this. Here, I'll try to move it right now. While you guys get Ezekiel chapter 40, I'm gonna try to move this. Let's see what we about. Bear with me. Here, I'll just move it right now. Is that better? Is that better? Test 1, test 2. Actually, I think it's better, because you're at more to height. Ezekiel 40, verse 5. Ezekiel 40, verse 5 through 8. And behold, this is when an angel came to show him the sanctuary that's going to be built. And behold, a wall outside the house round about, a man's hand, a measure, a reed, 6 cubits long, and the cubit of the hand breadth. So he measured the breadth of the building 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. And he came to the gate, which looked upon toward the east, and went and measured the stairs, and measured the threshold of the gate, which was on the reed broad, and the other threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad. In every little chamber that was a reed, 1 reed broad, and between the little chambers 5 cubits of the threshold, and the gate of the porch within, which 1 reed. So, and he measured the porch of the gate, and with 1 reed. So, he dealt with the porch right here, but let me go to 39. We're supposed to still stick with 39. I skipped a spot real quick. Let me go to 39. No, we're good. 1 through 4. Sorry. 1 through 4. Chapter 40, 1 through 4. I was looking to cover the page. I was looking at Genesis. Chapter 40, 1 through 4. In the 25th year of our captivity, behold, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the year, in the 14th year, that the city was smite, in the same self day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and brought me there, and the visions of the Almighty brought me into the land of Israel, to set me upon a very high mountain, by which he framed the city of the south on the south. And he brought me there, and behold, there was a man of the appearance like was the appearance of brass. So he's the appearance of brass, somewhat my color. And the line flax in his hand, and the measure of a reed, and he stood at the gate. And it said unto me, Son of man, behold thy eyes, and hear with thy ears, and set thy heart upon all that I'll shew thee, for the intent that I might shew thee unto thee that thou art brought here. Declare unto what thou seest to the house of Israel. So the Almighty gave him a vision. Now, let's go to chapter 41, verse 1. And so he showed him the building, and he dealt with the windows and everything. Now, afterwards he brought me into the temple, and he measured the post 6 cubits broad on one side, 6 cubits broad on the other side, which was the breadth of the tabernacle. Now, when I first read this a couple of times, I thought this was them rebuilding the temple when Hezekiah and Ezekiel came, because Ezra came, and when Hezekiah came, because obviously we know the temple got destroyed and they went into Babylon for 70 years. Jeremiah prophesied this. Now, when Ezra and Nehemiah came after 70 years to rebuild the temple, Ezekiel was roughly in the time of Jeremiah and in the time of Daniel. Maybe not Daniel. Daniel was in the beginning of the 70 years, so he was probably dead by the time they came back into rebuild the temple. Or super old. But But Ezekiel was them of the captivity, and Jeremiah was them of the captivity. So Jeremiah and Ezekiel were alive around the same time. So Ezekiel was those that got left out of Babylon. He didn't go into Babylon, but he was a prophet of the captivity. Let's keep going. So now he gets to see the temple. So in the very beginning, which you guys probably knew this, I always thought, okay, because they're going to rebuild the temple in Hezekiah and Nehemiah and Ezra. So this is the rebuilding of the temple. But let's keep going. No, this is not. So let's keep going. Give me 42 verse 1. And he brought me into the utter court towards the north, and brought me into the chamber over against the separate place, which was before the building towards the north, before the length of the 100 cubits, and the north breadth was 50 cubits. So he got him to the court, he got the temple, he's getting all the measurement, and this angel is showing him the temple. Now, I'm the whole time, with the exception of the last one, I'm thinking, okay, he's there of the captivity, he's going to encourage the people, so when they come back and says, hey, I'm going to restore Israel, because he already prophesied, I'm going to bring back. I'm going to bring the stuff that Nebuchadnezzar took. I'm going to bring all that stuff back. And it came to pass with Nehemiah and Ezra. So let's keep going. Give me 44 verse 1. Then he brought me back by the way of the gate and the outer sanctuary, which looketh towards the east, and it was shut. So he got the temple. He got the outer gate. He got the court. He's dealing with this. And if you read this too, he's setting up the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes is going to come back to the temple, and we're all going to have our gates. This is going to come to pass. Give me 45, verse 1. Moreover, when you shall divide the land by lot for inheritance, you shall offer an oblation unto the Almighty, a holy portion, and the length shall be the length of 25,000 reeds, and the breadth shall be 10,000, and this shall be holy of the borders round about. And so he's dealing with the inheritance of where the 12 tribes are going to live, and where the Levites are going to, and the suburbs and everything when he restores the kingdom. This is why this whole time I'm thinking when they were coming back. Give me 47 verse 1. And now here's where it gets interesting. So he gives them the whole layout. This whole chapter, he's given them the layout of the temple, the gate, the courts, the pillars, the stairs, everything. Where what tribes is going to come through what gate, the north gate, the south gate, the east gate, the west gate, what gate's going to come, where Mashiach himself is going to come through that gate and shut it, and only he comes through that door. But let's keep going. Verse 1. Afterwards he brought me again into the door of the house, and behold, the waters issued out of under the threshold of the house eastward. From the forefront of the house stood to get towards the east, and the waters came down under the right side of the house. I want you to pay attention to these scriptures right here. At the south side. Then he brought me out by the way of the gate northward, and led me to the way unto the utter gate by the way that looketh eastward. And behold, there ran out the waters on the right side. And when the man had the line in his hand, he went forth, and he measured 1,000 cubits. And remember, a cubit is roughly the arm length. That's a cubit, rough estimate. It measured 1,000 cubits, and he brought me to the waters, and the waters was at my angle. And then he measured 1,000, and he brought me to the waters, and were at my knees. And again he measured 1,000, and he brought me through the waters to my loins, and your loins is your waist. And he measured 1,000, and the rivers could not pass on. Waters that were risen, waters to swim, a river that could not be passed, so it flowed too. So you could swim in it, but you couldn't swim across it. And he said unto me, Son of man, thou hast seen this. Then he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. Now when I was returned at the brink of the river, there were very many trees, one on one side and another and on the other. And he said unto me, These waters are issued out towards the east country, to go down into the desert, and to go into the sea. And he brought forth to the sea the waters that shall be healed. And it shall come to pass that everything that liveth, which moveth wheresoever the river shall come, shall live. And there shall be a very great multitude of fish, because the water shall come there, and they shall be healed. And everything shall live whether the river cometh. And it shall come to pass that the fishers shall stand upon in the from Engedi even to Engalam, and shall be a place to spread their nets, and the fish shall according to their kinds, and the fish a great sea exceedingly. But the miry, or the muddy places thereof, and the marshes thereof shall not be healed, they should be given to salt. And the river upon the bank thereof, and the side thereof, shall grow all the trees for meat, whose leaves shall not fade. Leaves shall not fade. Their fruit thereof shall be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to their months, according to his months, because their waters they issue out the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof for medicine. Thus the Almighty saith, the Almighty Yah shall be for the border, wherefore ye shall inherit the land according to the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph shall have 2 portions. Now let's go to Revelations. Give me 22. So these waters healed, and these fruits fadeth not away. Revelations 22, 1 through 3. And he shewed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of the Most High, out of the Lamb. Now we just read that the waters came from the sanctuary in Ezekiel. And in the midst of the street of it, on either side of the river, were there trees of life. We just read that bear 12 manners of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. We just read that too. And the leaves of the tree were for healing of the nations. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of the Almighty and the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. Now, let's go with Revelations 21, 1 through 3. And I saw a new heaven and new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there were no more sea. And I saw and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Almighty out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So we see new heaven, new earth. Now, my point is, Joseph became second in command from his dark place. And Ezekiel was able to have more understanding of how the new heaven, new earth was going to, in detail, how it's going to be set up than any other prophet. Because John sees, he saw who knew, but Ezekiel literally walked with the angel, and he measured how high the temple, the stairs, the rooms, the court, the gate, who's going to pass through the gate, who's not, the rivers that's going to come out of the sanctuary, what's going to get healed, what's not going to get healed, how long the river. He literally got to see in detail. He may not have been second in Egypt, but he was in this dark place, and he had to go through and sleep on one side and do all this stuff for Israel to repent, which they didn't. But look what the Almighty gave him out of it. And he said, share this to the people. Now, if they were like me, they're like, oh, yeah, I know our people's in Babylon, and Jeremiah said in 70 years we're going to come back and rebuild the temple. They probably thought it was the same thing as me. Not knowing that they had an opportunity in Ezekiel's time to see what new heaven, new earth, and new Jerusalem was going to be like. They had an opportunity to even hear that. And their expectation is for, later, in the 70 years is, oh, we're going to rebuild the temple. And it got rebuilt. And when Amashiach came on the scene, the temple was there and whatnot. It got rebuilt. And they're thinking that's their expectation. But he wasn't even talking about that one. He was talking about the new heaven, new earth, and new Jerusalem. And so Ezekiel was in his dark spot. And yet the Almighty still showed him something that no other prophets got in that detail. I don't see where the Apostle Paul or anyone dealt with this. Even Revelation doesn't deal in detail of how new heaven, new earth is going to be set up than what we just seen in Ezekiel if you read those last 5 chapters. And so, my main point of the story is, let me get the last scripture and deal with it. Give me Psalms 121. Psalms 121. You people from Israel, make sure you stick with your peeps. Because when he sets up this kingdom, we just read, he's going to have his 12 tribes come through certain gates. So this whole little, I just go and just marry whoever I want. I don't know where you guys get that. That's okay. He's looking for his 12 tribes. When he sets up his kingdom in Ezekiel, every tribe's going to come through a gate. And a bastard or a Gentile, they're going to have their place to be saved. They will have their place. We see that everyone can be saved. But he's looking for his people. 121. And we're going to start at verse 1. Psalms 121. I will look up my eyes unto the hills from where my help for whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Almighty, which made heaven and earth. And he will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He keepeth thee, and he that keepeth thee will not slumber. And so he says, I look to my hills, to the hills, to where my help comes from. My help comes from the Almighty. Everyone will be in a dark spot in your life. Everyone will get there. It could be a death in the family. It could be financial. It could be whatever. You know what I'm saying? You will get through that dark spot. And if you keep looking to the hills from where your help comes from, then yes, you know what I'm saying? You're going to make it through. We've seen it. We've seen it here. We've seen it with David. David, his kingdom got restored onto him. Ezekiel, look what he got out of it. And yeah, that doesn't necessarily replace his wife and whatnot, but that was his dark spot where he couldn't even cry or mourn for his wife, to be an example for a people that's not going to repent. For a people that's not going to repent. So you see where Moses, it says, hey, spare the people, blot me out of the book that you wrote. Blot me out of the book, but spare the people. He was willing to give up to his life for a people that wasn't going to repent. In the end, only his kids, when he said that, the people that were still alive end up dying. Only Joshua and Caleb made it. But he was willing to put up his life for a people that wasn't even going to make it in the promised land. Only their kids made it. But he would have still spared the people because the children would have made it. But Ezekiel had to do that for people that just did not repent. They didn't listen to him. You know? So, hopefully that was a lesson to you. Hey, get through. Hey, you people out there that don't have a congregation, find a congregation. Because when you do go through your dark spots, you have those brothers and sisters. Joseph didn't have no one to talk to. He might have had some sinners out there in prison with him and whatnot. Has some fellow colleagues, if you will, prison colleagues. But you have brothers and sisters that you could call and talk to and minister and confide in, and you could go. If you're going through marital problems with your husband, you could call a sister. If you're going through stuff with your wife, you could call another brother. You could call, like, there's financial situations, a brother or sister can help you out. There's a support system with the congregation because we love you unto salvation. Ooh, I got you. You like that one, huh? So, let's get with some news. We can give the Almighty a hand clap for this. With all that said being done, get the Almighty a hand clap. Let's get through these dark spots in our life. So, news. All right, Europe. The economic collapse is going down. Germany is super sucking because of energy, and they're gonna probably shut down the whole. Germany is the breaking point. The whole NATO nations is conflicted because some people's like, man, let's calm down with these sanctions. We just running out of energy. We're running out of gas. They stopped the Nord Stream pipeline. Russia ain't playing around. Russia's made more money from oil through the sanctions than us doing it. The sanction ain't doing nothing to them. Let's just crush the sanctions because we're suffering more than that. And why would they suffer more for Ukraine? Because we don't even hear Ukraine having an energy crisis. We don't hear Ukraine going out of electricity and whatnot. We see how Europe. So you're going through all this stuff for a country that's not even in NATO. And it's one of the, I think it was the second most corrupt countries in all of Europe. But anyways, people are protesting because they're like, man, these sanctions are garbage. Some people's electricity bill went up 5 times. More people are spending more on electricity and rent than all their other utilities. So it's going down in Europe. There was a economist, a European economist. I was looking at this in BitChute. They say 6 to 9 months it's going to collapse. They got a food crisis. They got an energy crisis. They got a housing crisis. And they got a job decline. Everything is just being destroyed. And this is what we're having in the United States as well. Food is going up. Housing is about to bust, the housing bustle. And now they're trying to take money from the Mexicans and the Hebrews because they're giving 0 down, 0 credit check. We're trying, the Bank of America, we're trying to help the minorities, 0 down, 0 credit checks, and we're going to give them houses. And the whole thing is a flop because you could only get houses in the poorest of neighborhoods. So it's almost like, yeah, let's keep these minority, we'll hook you up, but you need to stay in the ghetto. We won't do a zero whatnot in a house here to where you could sell in 3 years and double your money. We'll give you a house that's like $350,000, and when you sell it, it's probably worth $350,000. You know what I'm saying? We won't give you the same size house in here to where you could make $250,000 and actually improve the black community, the Hebrew and Hispanic community. No, we won't do that. We only do it in these areas. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet. And zero down, when it collapses, they're going to take all these people's houses because they're not going to be able to afford it. So much things is going to be automated to where there's going to be they estimated in 2023, millions of jobs will be lost in the United States. Millions. I happen to do construction, so construction could get slow. So I'm not saved, but I'm safer. Because if there's no one building buildings and there's no buildings because there's no jobs, because, then yeah, construction can get slow. But you're not going to have an AI robot do what I do. So in somewhat, I'm a little bit safer, but I'm not safe. Construction does get slow. So in 6 to 9 months, they said it's gonna go down. You can look this up at BitChute too, dealing with Europe. They said permanent deindustrialization. Hopefully I said that right. Meaning there's going to be industries that will not come back. Kind of like when the pandemic hit and all the small jobs took a dump. Some of those mom and pop shops will not come back. They're not coming back. When everything went out, they're not coming back. So the mom and pop shop, the smaller jobs, the companies that only had 10 employees and whatnot, the smaller companies, they're not coming back. All right, cool. FEMA, I probably shouldn't have said that, but FEMA attempted to pay off victims to say the reason why my family members perish, some of my family members perish, wasn't because I got liquid in the shoulders, but was because of a pandemic. It wasn't because I got liquid in my shoulders, but my family member died because of the pandemic. That's what caused it. So they were trying to pay off these people to try to blame all these deaths on the pandemic and not the liquid shoulders. Kind of weird. Unions between large corporations and government is coming closer like a fastest. So you know how the government pretty much controls Twitter, Facebook, Google, YouTube, all that stuff. So they say, oh, the government, freedom of speech. We support your amendments of freedom of speech, but we control all the platforms behind the scenes. All these companies that censor you and kick you off YouTube and whatnot, oh yeah, we control them because they do what we say. So yeah, that they're gonna try to make a stronger merge before large companies and the governments around the world. So get ready for that. This is my big thing, especially for True Hebrews United. 16,000 trucks got taken off the road. Truckers, 16,000 truckers got taken off the road in 24 hours. They did a blitz, kind of like how they do a DUI checkpoint. When you're a trucker, you stop at this weigh station, and they did a blitz, and they took 16,000 trucks off the road. Now, I had a moving company, and I had one situation where I said I would never leave San Diego and do a job outside of San Diego again, because I had to go to a weigh station, and they took me off the road for a light, and they would not. If I got pulled over by a cop, it would have probably been a fix-it ticket, if that. It was like a one bulb, and they said you cannot leave this weigh station until you get it fixed. So I had to wait till AutoZone opened up. I think a trucker ended up having one or something. I forgot to go get a stupid light, or like a $3, $6 light to put in my truck before they let me go off the road. They were not going to let me leave that weigh station. It was the first LA job move I did where I left San Diego when we had the moving company. And then they bothered me on the way back. I got pulled over into secondaries again. I didn't just go over the way. I got pulled over to secondaries, and they messed with me again because I didn't have my trucker's license. There's a certain license for a heavy vehicle you need. It's just not basic registrations and whatnot. You know, I was running dirty. I had insurance and everything, but I was running dirty. I didn't know you needed all that, but whatever, right? So they said most of these truckers are saying most of the reason why they got taken off the road was for stupid stuff. It wasn't for stuff that normal times they will have them, okay, you can still go, you need to get a fix-it ticket, or you need to get this fixed by the next weigh station or whatnot. So they're literally destroying the economy by, hey, we're just going to take these truckers off the road. Now, the truckers' gas for diesel is already like almost $5, and last year was 3 something. So the diesel is at the all-time price high. There's a certain liquid they need to start their cars. That's a shortage too. And so they're already taking truckers out. So here's a way how they're going to keep doing it. And then the parts for trucks, a lot of the semi trucks parts come from China and from these other countries. And with these sanctions and with this all this stuff going on with this shipment distraction, they're not even some of these truckers are just going out of business because their part isn't even coming for another month. They need parts to fix their truck, and it's a month out. You know what I'm saying? Or it's ordered, but we don't know when it's going to get here. And I've had that happen on Amazon too, where you order something and they can't even give you a date yet. So yeah, they're trying to crush this economy. There's no way, because I got stopped for something stupid. So 16,000, they said the majority of them are getting stopped for dumb. They're getting taken off the road for dumb reasons. 16,000 in one day, nationwide, one day. So think of that when the price goes up. The Gulf of Mexico shipping has problems. Remember in LA when all the shipments, they had like 150 shipment things, and then they say, oh, it's decreasing because they said you need to be 100 miles out so they don't count as being backed up. And so a lot of these shipping companies were going to the Gulf of Mexico to drop off their stuff. Now there's over 150 ships in the Gulf of Mexico waiting to under. So that shipping problem we have never went away. It just moved from LA to the Gulf of Mexico. So get ready for high prices, or get ready not to get the stuff you want. Now, food shortage, U.S. With the Amtrak, speaking of the transportation, the Amtrak did the strike, and a lot of the containers that get off of ships, they go through trains to get to the states they're going to. So they end up coming to some conclusion, but there was going to be a strike between their union and whatnot, and they were protesting like, hey, we're not going to ship anything, and that would have hurt the economy, because the ships that do get unloaded because we're backed up need to get on trains to get shipped to whatever state they're going to. So that would have been a problem. That got resolved. A lot of the farmers weren't getting their shipments because a lot of the grains or fertilizer and whatnot come from out of the country. So that's a problem. Now, the list of how food is going to go up next year. Corn production is the lowest for this season, is the lowest since 2012. So we have decreased to 2012 of what we're going to have for this coming year, this winter harvest. The wheat is for the production for this next harvest has been the lowest since 1963, and rice has been the lowest since 1950. Now I did a population. The population in the United States in 1950 was 151 million, right? Well, it's some change plus. I'm just making it flat. The population now is 332 million. So we have twice the population, but half the production of rice. So what you think that's going to happen next year to the price of rice, if they even have it in your grocery store? So I keep telling you, especially the True Hebrews United, you need to tighten up. We're playing around. You guys know what you guys need to do. I'm telling you, we're not going to feel it now. You're going to feel it next year. It may be to where right when the rice hits the shelves, they all get bought up, and or they don't have it, and or the price of rice from $25 for $20 for 50 pounds or whatnot is $120. And so now our dollar, so let's say you get a $2 raise. Oh man, I just got a $2 raise. So before taxes, before taxes, it's $80. I work 40 hours, that's $80 a week. Let's say flat, you make $80 a week. But gas went up, so you spend an extra $30 a week on gas. Okay, so that $2 raise got was $50. I got an extra $50. But guess what? Your groceries done next year went up an extra $75 a week. $75 more a week to get the same amount of food. All right, so that $2 raise just disappeared. But that's not it. Rent has just started to go up too. So now your rent went up $300. That's, $75 a week. So a $2 raise ain't gonna cut it. That means you made less money. Inflation is a way to tax the people. You made less money. So True Hebrews United, you gotta tighten it up. We know what we need to do with our preps. We know we need to get this stuff together. Let's buy what we need to buy. Let's do what we need to do before the price doubles. And if you don't have double in your raise, if you didn't make a $10, $15, $30 an hour, $30 surplus, you only made a $2, oh, I got $2 more this year, oh, that ain't cutting it. You're still losing money. If you're not making $6 or $7, $8, I got a $6, no, I think it's $3.50 an hour raise for the next 3 years. So I get $3.50 more. So okay, I get roughly 100 after taxes. Let's say $90 extra on the check, maybe $100 extra on the check. You know what I'm saying? After taxes, so I get 90 extra bucks a week. But inflation is going to eat that up. And then next year I get another 300, and the next year I get another $3.50. So overall I get like $11 raise spread out over the course of 3 years, and then we renegotiate our price and whatnot. But inflation is going to eat that up. You know what I'm saying? Inflation. Unfortunately, I think the Almighty, He helped me out, man. The Almighty, even though I'm in my situation right now, and I'm in like a dark spot too, not super dark, but I thank the Almighty, you know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't let me go without. Like Joseph, he still made him the head of Potiphar's house when he went into prison. He made him the head of the ward. The guards liked him, and he, I'm pretty sure he got the best food and whatnot, got the best treatment and whatnot. So I thank the Almighty for it. But hey, let's get our stuff, tighten it up. THU, you know what you need to do. Tighten it up. Let's get this stuff together, buy what we need to buy, zip what we need to do, what we need to do. I ain't going to say too much, but do what we need to do. So, hopefully that was a blessing for you. Hey, we will have an energy shortage. We will have a food shortage. We will have a housing crisis. And we will have a job decline next year. All this stuff will go down next year. It's not going to get better. You think that, you know what they did? Because we're in inflation, they passed a bill. It says a fight an inflation bill or something. And what they're going to do? They're going to print more money. They're not dumb. They want to. It says, I'm going to set up new heaven and new earth. But it says, for the first heaven and the first earth will what? Pass away. I'm going to shake it out of existence. When he sets up his kingdom, when the Almighty sets up his kingdom, he has to get rid of the old kingdom. You follow me? So when Satan wants to set up his kingdom, he has to destroy the old way, the old monetary system, the old economy. He's setting up a new world order where we're tracking everything. You need a microchip. He has to destroy it, because as long as this works, he can't introduce something new. He has to destroy it. So these countries, these elites are destroying the economy on purpose. They're not trying to fix nothing. You're like, oh, they're dumb. They're not dumb. You think we're trying to fix it. We're really trying to destroy it, but we're going to play like we're dumb. So you think we're just, oh, they don't know how to, why are they keep printing more money? They're stupid. No, we're not stupid. I'm destroying this economy because I'm trying to introduce a new world order. They're not dumb. They know exactly what they're doing. They knew what they were going to do when they took 16,000 trucks off the road in one day. They knew the chaos that's going to cause for the whole country. You think they didn't know? They knew exactly what they were doing. They know what they're doing with the backup of the shipments. They knew what they were doing. They are destroying this world intentionally. So they're going to come up with their solution, and their solution is, now you're a slave. You shall own nothing and be happy. They know what they're doing. We know what we're doing. So we need to prepare. So with all that said being done, keep standing. Don't drop standards. Get the Almighty hand clap. Shalom.